Hey G.I. Joe fans, Joe Motion Videos 82 here. It is time for another G.I. Joe toy review. Last week we took a look at Destro version 2 and his despoiler. And as we know, Destro is the leader of the Iron Grenadiers. And I had made mention of the Marvel comic issue number 69 where he first made his appearance. Well, I just happened to have found that comic at one of my favorite used bookstores. So this is what it looks like. So I have not read it yet, haven't had the chance, but I do have the comic, and you know, I might start reviewing comic books here in the future. So I'll let you guys know how this is, and so I'm looking forward to reading it. But that's a pretty imposing figure. I mean, the little thing on his shoulder there, it looks more like spikes than it does as I had described it, as a pastry knife before. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the review. Today we will be looking at the 1989 Scoop. Scoop was G.I. Joe's cameraman, their news reporter, as it were. He's a battlefield reporter. It's not unusual for battlefield correspondents to be included in the military. You know, we have Walter Cronkite, if I can remember correctly. He did some battlefield correspondence in Vietnam. Of course, we had the famous Ernie Pyle, who was a battlefield correspondent in World War II. So why not have a correspondent for G.I. Joe? I think it's about time. It's a very nice salute to those battlefield correspondents who were non-combatants, but at the same time were in just as much danger as the soldiers were. They did not carry a weapon. The only thing they shot was a camera, but Hasbro gave Scoop a pistol. So we'll get into that later in the review. So Scoop came out as a part of the 8th series. He came out carded in 1989. He was also sold through 1990 and was discontinued in 1991. Hasbro had a really neat practice of sculpting and naming some action figures after real-life individuals. For Scoop, the NBC television reporter Mike Leonard was used to model Scoop after. The character of Scoop was even given the real name of Leonard Michaels. So there we go. That Hasbro is all further recognizing these individuals by naming one of their, or dedicating, if you would, one of their action figures after a real life individual, which I think is pretty cool. It's a nice thing for them to do. There was only one version of Scoop. No other versions were ever made, and not even in modern action figures that I know of. Scoop was later released throughout Europe. He was released in the UK, also in Brazil as well. But that was about as much that I could find on him. But there was a slight variant on Scoop. On his backside, the copyright stamp either reads "Made in Hong Kong" or "Made in China," which I'm not sure which one is more sought after. I haven't been able to find anything, which makes him more desirable with either stamp, but it's the same figure. No color changes were made on him. But Scoop, he was represented in several forms of G.I. Joe media. He was in trading cards, comic books, cartoons, and commercials. He did show up in the DiC animated series, but he was a turncoat where he was actually a Crimson Guard posing as a Joe to spy on G.I. Joe. He did make an appearance in the G.I. Joe Special Missions comic book series, which I do not have as of yet, but I'm keeping an eye open for him. So Scoop, when he was released internationally, he came out in 1992 internationally. He was packaged in a 3-pack with Low-Light, Frag Viper, and Low-Light and Frag Viper for the retail chain of Woolworths. And he was also individually carded throughout Europe. So he's out there. He's very easy to find on the aftermarket, and I will get into that in my concluding statement or concluding topics. When he was first released, his original retail price was $2.55. And I do remember purchasing Scoop when he first hit the shelves. I was 14, almost 15 at the time. When he came out, I was delivering newspapers, a little circular called the Penny Saver. I was delivering those newspapers and making about $120 a month, which wasn't bad, you know, for a kid, you know, $30 a week. It was a weekly circular, out there on my bike with this huge pouch on my front and back, just loaded down with these newspapers and delivering them through these neighborhoods. And you know, that's how I bought a lot of my G.I. Joes, was from my paper route money. So I won't bore you with any further topics, so let's go ahead and get into the review. So stay tuned, stand by for that. All right, so here he is, Scoop, with all of his gear. Let's go ahead and take his accessories off and set Scoop aside, and we'll take a look at his accessories first. He has what the card contents call a satellite relay backpack. I would concur that is definitely a satellite relay. He would be able to record in real time and send his correspondence to the Joe base anywhere he was in the world. This is very nice sculpting on there. The satellite dish is hollowed out. You could see, sorry about that, you could see down there in the middle where he has the recording tape. There's some hoses on the sides, and see where it pegged, the back peg. Now that's a pretty nice little detail. He also came with a standard G.I. Joe hose, his movie camera, or his video camera, little microphone down here at the bottom, nicely sculpted. This whole thing is pretty neat. This could also double as a gun for more creative imaginations. Came with a pistol. Some nice sculpting on that. On the end here, it looks like it has a silencer or a flash suppressor. This does not match any real-world weapons that I have been able to find, but it is a nice pistol nonetheless. Came with a green helmet, painted on red goggles. The helmet is made out of a very soft, almost rubbery type plastic. Has some ridges here on the top. I don't know if that's coming in. There it is. some ridges on the top. It has a hole here on the side where his microphone plugs in. The microphone, which is fairly easy to lose, it does snap or seat into the helmet quite nicely, so that's fairly common to lose on the aftermarket. So if you're looking for a complete scoop, please make sure you ask questions and look at the pictures closely if you're purchasing online. If the microphone is not there, he is not complete. Now, Scoop is very nicely sculpted. He's wearing what is a yellow jumpsuit, a green vest that goes all the way around. He has on his left wrist, it kind of looks like a Dick Tracy style watch. Doesn't show up real well, but it has a screen on it and a keypad. On his left wrist, or his right wrist, he's wearing a watch, or it looks like the cuff. I apologize, it's the cuff of his jumpsuit. He does have a camera strapped around his neck, some binoculars, and some looks like rolls of film here on his upper right hand shoulder. Very, very nice sculpting on this. On his left leg, he has an empty holster, which would kind of indicate that he's left-handed, since he has his pistol slung on his left leg. And he also has a pistol sculpted down there on his boot that doesn't show up very well. I apologize for that, but it looks like a little .38 caliber pistol. And here on his right leg, he has a battery pack. I'm assuming it's a battery pack because his camera plugs into that, and voila, he's holding his camera with his right hand, and it plugs in. So that's pretty cool on that part. He does have a kind of a little mischievous little grin on his face, nicely sculpted, curly hair. Just your average happy guy. He has two pockets sculpted on the back, and my variant is made in China, and it looks like on the bottom it says H1. So he was the second release, but I do recall buying him in 1989, but that could be a false memory. I could have gotten them in 1990 because I was still delivering papers at that time. If I mentioned from my previous reviews that if you see H1, it's the second release. So here he is, a Scoop from my childhood. I'll spare you guys the articulation. We all know what that's about. But this is a pretty nice figure, all in all. Very nice homage to the Real TV reporter. So if you are looking for Scoop on the aftermarket, he is very common. He wasn't a terribly popular figure. By this time, I was 14, 15 years old. Really wasn't playing with G.I. Joe anymore. I know my little brother played with him, but not much. Kind of evident because I still have all of his accessories. But as far as an action figure goes, his sculpt is very nice. I'm glad that they didn't cheapen the sculpt, because he was sculpted after a real-life individual. So on the aftermarket, if you want a complete Scoop, he The price range, it varies depending on condition and all that. Complete all accessories and file card starting about $9, and the most expensive I saw was $15. His file card is around $1.50. You're paying more in shipping than you are for the file card. The most expensive accessory that came with him was the microphone. Those are very infamous to get lost, like on the 86 Tomahawk Pilot lift ticket. That microphone is very hard to find, and when you do, you pay a decent price for it, a hefty price, I should say. So his microphone, it goes for about $5. But like I said, he's very common on the aftermarket. If you want him by himself, he's around $3 or $4, and the prices go up from there. I do not have his file card. I apologize for doing a review without a file card, but thanks to yojo.com, I was able to get the text from the file card, and I'll just go ahead and read that to you guys. His file name is Michaels Leonard, serial number 887-1192-XE86. By this time, Hasbro started adding letters to serial numbers on these action figures to avoid the mistake of actually copying a real soldier's serial number. So that's why they started adding letters to it. He's grade E4, which would be a specialist. His birthplace is Chicago, Illinois. Primary military specialty is journalist. Secondary is microwave transmission specialist, which it makes a lot of sense because they do have microwave emitters. You see with the Televiper, who is Scoop's counterpart, but he was released in '85 and Scoop came out 4 years later. But you could say that the Televipers are Cobra's news anchors, and they did work with a microwave scanner. So Scoop's backpack, the satellite, I'm sure ran with a microwave emitter, which I'm sure would get pretty warm being on his back. So that I don't feel sorry. I shouldn't say I don't feel sorry. I do feel sorry if you were a real live individual having to carry such a heavy and hot piece of equipment. Scoop being the real life individual, the news reporter, yes, my heart goes out to those men and women who are journalists who are reporting from the combat zone. I remember from the current conflicts, there was one female reporter who was shot in the arm by a sniper. Not real bad. I think it's more of a ricochet that got her. But she continued on reporting. Very, very brave of her. So let's go ahead and get into the file card. So this top paragraph, it takes a special kind of guy to step out from behind the cover during a firefight and keep his finger squeezing the trigger of his video cam. With an advanced degree in journalism as well as a master's degree in electronics engineering, Scoop could have been a... Sorry, Mickey's trying to help me out with the review. Could have had a secure future with network news team. Instead, he opted out for service on the G.I. Joe team because he wanted to be on the spot when the news was being made and not reporting the aftermath, pardon me, not wearing my contacts. Bottom part is a quotation. It says, the other Joes were a bit put off by Scoop at first. They resented having a third wheel tagging along, lugging 60 pounds of video equipment, and not much firepower. Yeah, man just had a pistol. Couldn't really carry a video camera case and have a rifle slung over his shoulder and all the ammunition. The man had been weighed down. They changed their minds after he carried a wounded comrade 2 clicks to an extremely hairy evacuation site for a medevac. All the while, his camera has captured the whole thing on tape. Now that's called doing your job and then some, in quotations. So this may have been a quote from General Hawk. So yeah, the journalists, they are out there risking their necks to bring us this news. They do get hurt in more ways than one. They, you know, I don't know right off the top of my head any of them getting killed, but they definitely do bear the scars of combat alongside the soldiers, because they witness all this firsthand, and I'm sure, if not all, most of them have come back with some form of what was known as battle fatigue, or shell shock, or in modern day terms, it's post-traumatic stress. So to rate Scoop on a scale from 1 to 10 for his accessories, I'll definitely give him a 10. Those accessories are very nicely sculpted. They suit his job very well. They gave him a gun, which I do love. I don't like when action figures come without a gun. His helmet is really cool. It stands out from the other helmets. So he gets a 10 out of 10 on that. For sculpt, I'll definitely give him a 10 out of 10. For color, I'll give him a 10 out of 10. Yeah, he's wearing yellow in the middle of combat, but he is a field reporter, so he wants to kind of stand out on camera. So, you know, wearing the subdued camouflage wouldn't, it'll appear on camera, but it won't be as flashy. So I'll give him 10 out of 10 on that. And playability, definitely 10 out of 10. His accessories work. They're really neat. The only thing I really didn't like were the hoses as a kid. They got in the way. So I never really played with the hoses. So he gets a perfect score of 40 out of possible 40 points. So there you have it. My review of Scoop version 1, the only version of Scoop, which is kind of a shame. I really wish that they would have at least made a modern version of Scoop. He is a cool figure. He would have looked good as a modern version. They could have given him a removable vest. The only downfall was the Deke series made him a spy, made him a bad guy. And that doesn't fly with me. Even though Scoop did get a high rating, I'll have to make him a bottom shelf figure. If he would have come out, if I would have been 8 or 9 when he came out, I wouldn't have played with him much, because I really didn't have much need for a television man or a news reporter. So I would have just used him as a combatant, if anything. But that's the only reason why I gave him a bottom shelf, or not a bottom shelf, but a middle shelf rating. And that's actually where I have him. I have him on a middle shelf on my collection. So that has been my review of Scoop. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video. Please leave me a comment. Always happy to hear from you guys. I respond back. And please share this video. Get these subscriptions up. I would really appreciate it. So I will hold a giveaway when I reach 100 subscriptions. So looking forward to doing that. I really feel that G.I. Joe is about sharing, sharing your opinions, sharing your collection. just your personal views on it, your experiences, and also about sharing with other people who don't have a specific toy that they're looking for. I like to trade. I've traded with another viewer before, and you know, Ed, I got the Night Landing from him. So if there are, I'll do a video on a bunch of spare parts I have. So if you guys are looking for a spare part, let me know, and I'll look through my box. If you're looking to complete your video, a vehicle or an action figure, let me know. I have a bunch of spare parts. So that's what sharing for me and G.I. Joe is about. So anyway, I want to especially thank my newest subscribers who joined within the past week. I really appreciate you guys tuning into my channel and giving us a look-see. Really appreciate it. I can't be doing this without you guys. Really wouldn't be much point if there's nobody watching this. And I promise I will have more stop motion videos. My schedule at work has been kind of hectic, so it takes a long time, even longer time, to shoot a video. Before, when I had more time on my hands, I was able to shoot it in a day, but now it takes a little more time to shoot them. Working on one. Hopefully this one will turn out so I can get that out to you. That's the Joe Motion in my videos, not just reviews. I do the stop motion animation, which I really enjoy. So once again, thank you all. Thank you to everybody who is watching at this moment. Please continue to keep the recent high school shooting victims and their families in your prayers. They really need it. They're still suffering from that, and I'm sure they will for years and years down the road. So let's keep on pulling for them. So all that being said, this is Joe Motion Videos 82 signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.